before we do that, though, my take. And I'm doing my take from a little peek into an aspect of a book, very fresh. It's titled Sam, A Life of Service to God and Country. And it is a memoir of Sam Okudzeto, the lawyer that you know. And it's Sam Okudzeto with Franca Maria Ando. I just read one small portion of it to you. And I'm reading from chapter 27. Chapter 27 begins with, I was privileged to have another inmate in the prison in the person of Sam Okudzeto, a renowned Accra lawyer, to be followed by another lawyer, Enoch Kom. And this is taken from Akenton Apiamenkan's book, The River in the Sea. Now, this is how he begins, that in the latter part of 1982, entering 1983, there was still no improvement in the situation in the country. The economy was in shambles and there was difficulty getting food. Throughout the country, there were growing queues for food, even kenke. People purchased uncooked corn dough to cook at home. That's memory that some of you are familiar with. If one waited to buy ready-to-eat kenke, it was an ordeal, a long queue with no assurance that one would get any. In 1983, while I was president of the Association of Recognized Professional Bodies, we passed a strongly worded resolution at our annual general meeting accusing the PNDC of gross mismanagement of the economy and a total disregard for human rights. We also made our voices heard regarding the seizure of the existing 50 Ghana CD notes and the continuous harassment of entrepreneurs, business leaders, and individuals who had over 50,000 CDs in their accounts. Very interesting and revealing. Then he continues. I'll just skip some mini portions and go to this point where he says, the country became even more unsettled when in the same year there was an attempted coup by Akatapore. He was initially part of the Rawlings 31st December coup, but had become disgruntled and they parted ways. The would-be coup makers managed to get to Usher Fort and even release some of the detainees. This occurrence led to a strong clampdown on PNDC critics, which included me. Early one morning in June 1983, a group of BNI officials came to my home and said the Inspector General of Police wanted to see me. I went with them, and on arriving, they asked me to sit in the interrogation room. They later came back to say that the IGP, Mr. Kogleno, was too busy to see me. They then drove me to the Central Police Station in front of the Cocoa Marketing Board head offices and placed me in a cell. I had never been in a filthier place. It smelled awful and was dark and damp. The only source of light was a lamp fueled with palm kernel oil. I shared a cell with criminals who had been placed in custody. I couldn't find a place to sit and requested for a student mattress to sit on. The police refused, and I ended up sitting the night out. A few days later, my good friend, Professor Anthony Foley, a former head of the Department of Medicine at the University of Ghana Medical School, came to see me. He was shocked that they had kept me in a place like that. He went to see the IGP, who I suspect did not even know what was going on. Subsequently, I was moved to the Legon police station and placed in a small cell. Due to the small size of the cell and the station itself, I was allowed to sit outside on a small stool during the day. My wife brought me a deck chair to use, and that was how I would receive the university lecturers and other visitors who came mostly to find out if it was true that I was there. My wife was allowed to visit and did so for the 2 weeks that I was there until I was moved to the Usher Fort. I'll end on a setting note here. Located in the buzzing Jamestown, it is positioned on a cliff and faces the rather rough Atlantic Ocean. We slept in a large room called the infirmary and found there rooms that were workshops with machinery for tailoring and carpentry, obviously meant for the rehabilitation of inmates. At some point in time, there was a little shop outside the Usher Fort prisons that sold kente cloth and other items made by the prisoners. We, the political prisoners, spent a lot of time in the infirmary. Below us were Achampon's former ministers who comprised mostly officers. My group included Lawyer Obeng Menu, a very vocal man who had been beaten mercilessly before being dropped off at the Usher Fort, Mr. Akentinapia Minka, the lawyer and industrialist, and Professor John Nabila, Minister in charge of security under President Dr. Hila Liman, himself then under house arrest. Later, Mr. Kwame Piening, the economist, was brought in on charges of allegedly plotting a coup. Mr. Kwame Jantwa, a minister who worked under Liman's regime, was also detained there. Mr. J.J. Yidana, the police officer who investigated the murder of the judges, and the retired army officer, was also there on criminal charge, which we believed was in revenge for exposing the culprits in the murder. I say it's a gripping story, and you will need to grab a copy and read. But let me read this last paragraph here. He says that he met one other guy who was brought in, and he says he was studying medicine at the time, and I told him that we were old people, and he was telling a story about student leaders being also captured and brought to prison. And I told him that we were old people. It didn't matter what happened to us, but he was still young. After school, you can do whatever, but now go and graduate. That's the most important thing. Hans, like many young students of the time, was so concerned about dictatorship and its effect on their own future and became very active in opposing the Rawlings regime. This is a lesson for the young ones now, many of whom have become egocentric, only thinking about themselves and what they can have now and not worried about the future of the nation and that of the children that they may have. I say you need to read it for yourself. This is Sam, a life of service to God and country, Sam Okujeto with Franca Maria Ando. And I understand that it's available at the Challenge Bookshop. So you can pick a copy and read the history that you missed. Like Kwame Sefakai will say that you know his success, but you do not know his pain. You definitely may know his glory, but you don't know his story. Now, we're ready to do business to the issues that we have tabled for discussion, and the issues that we are dealing with this morning, as I've told you, is a single item agenda, and we're looking at the NDC's manifesto. Very ambitious. Imani's analysis show is a very ambitious and most ambitious of all of its programs that it has ever introduced to Ghana. My guest, he's back from his short leave. Abdul Malik Kweku Bako. He's editor-in-chief of the New Crusading Guide newspaper. And our audiences missed you. They kept asking, where are you, as always? So welcome back.
Well, thank you.
Right. Also, Dr. Kojo Pumpuni Asante. He's Senior Research Fellow, Center for Democratic Development, Ghana. Also, George Lowe is MP and Vice Chairman, Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee of the Parliament of Ghana. And Nana Komia is Director of Communications, the New Patriotic Party, NPP. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And good morning.
Good morning.
Right. Good morning. So let's get straight to the issues that we are going to look at this morning. But first, I must tell you that this show is paid for by MTN. Welcome to the new world. Star Assurance, creating smiles since 1985. Having mosquito coil pleasant on humans, tough nightmare on insects. Accra Compost and Recycling Plant, ACAP, is a truly natural fertilizer that you need to reduce poor yield and post-harvest losses. White Temple Agency, luxury that you can afford. Ines Fly, for a pest-free life. Kill the mosquitoes or stop them forever rather than using what stops them in the meantime. Royal lighting, walk in the light. Now, the president took us through highlights of the NDC manifesto. He spoke about 125 existing senior secondary schools to be upgraded. He spoke about $100 million additional investment in vocational and technical education. He spoke about 200,000 boarding students to benefit from the free secondary school package, 200 SHSs to be completed in his second term, that is if he's granted one by Ghanaians in December, among a host of other things. In the health sector, in the economy and industry, in roads, in employment, social investments or interventions, agriculture, sanitation and waste, creation of 5 new regions, looking towards setting up a commission of inquiry to look at the viability of that, and so on and so forth. And it will cost $24 billion to fulfill 75% of this promise, according to Imani. And out of the $24 billion, $22 billion of that money will have to be borrowed. We'll look at the issues one after the other. The manifesto is being launched today in Sunyani. And you know, the interpretation, Sunyani is supposed to mean Ujaosono, and people in Chi, I mean, that's what it means, where you slaughter elephants. So some are beginning to give the interpretation that they are there to slaughter the elephants, and the elephants will be slaughtered forever.